Welcome back to the ESBR YouTube channel. Today we're delighted to give you something a bit different. I'm delighted to be joined by Paul Kelly of esbrboxing.com. Hi
All
Paul,
right,
how are
how's it
you?
going? All
Yeah.
good, all good.
So today we're giving you a betting video. So we're previewing this week's fight camp from Matchroom, headlined by Conor Benn and Adrian Granados. So Paul, who are you looking to bet on this weekend?
Well, I've had a look up and down the card, and in my opinion, I've found some really good value, especially in one of mine. People might think it's biased because I'm from the same place as him, but I promise you,
I
it's
know
not
what's
because of
coming.
that. It's not because of that. But I really fancy Tommy McCarthy as the underdog against Chris Smith.
Mm.
You can get him on various betting apps at around 9-4 or 12-5, around those odds. So for me, I think that's far too big a price for Tommy McCarthy, considering he's the European champion as well. So he has the most prestigious belt out of the three that they're competing for already. Um, the only similarity you can draw between the two of them really is the loss to Richard Riakporhe,
Mm.
which, given McCarthy got knocked out in 4 rounds, so his loss does look a little bit worse. But I think since then, and since winning the European title, McCarthy's grown in confidence and he's looked far better. And I really do believe he'll actually win this fight. I'm not just saying this because he's good value, but I do actually think he'll win. Probably by points, but I wouldn't. Don't quote me on that. But I mean, if you want to gamble even more, then I suppose that would probably be even a better price to for method of victory. Yeah, I mean, Bill Smith, I really like. I like both guys, but in his last fight against Dukar, I
Mm.
think he was fighting. He looked really good in spells, Bill Smith, but he got hit quite a lot. And okay, he might have a really good chin, but against Tommy McCarthy, somebody who's more of a boxer and not so much of a just relying on a punch, I think that could be trouble because I think it'll be easier for McCarthy to get in and out of range. Um, So for me this weekend, that's the best value on the card. Um, I've got a few other ones, but that's for me is the best one.
I think we were saying before I think this is probably one of the most 50-50 fights on the card. So the fact you can get those good odds on Tommy McCarthy just kind of shows how much value there really is in that pick. Um,
Exactly. Yeah.
so would you say that's your lock of the week? If you had to put one bet on, it would be Tommy McCarthy to beat Chris Smith.
Yeah, I would say I'll put my neck on the line and say that Tommy McCarthy to beat Chris Smith is my pick of the week, definitely.
If that comes in, Greg's got some competition on the prediction front. He might have taken his job. Um, so personally, I've been looking at. I saw that Tommy McCarthy odds, and again, like you, I was really impressed with those odds. Another one, which I think is a bit of a live underdog, is Yildirim against Jack Cullen. Yildirim's got that experience. He's been in with obviously, I think boxing as a sport, it's got quite a short-term memory. So everyone will just look at that Canelo fight and go, he's done. He didn't throw. He was such a big disappointment in that fight that they've kind of like written him off now. But he has some of the best experience in that division, and he is a heavy puncher. And I think he will come in with a different mindset to that Canelo fight. So I think getting 5-4 odds on Yildirim, I know it's not the biggest underdog on the card, but I actually think if you could parlay that with maybe the Tommy McCarthy fight or some of the more secure bets like the Anthony Fowlers, like the Conor Benns, you can really make some good money on that. So that's one fight that I was really, really looking at as a live underdog. I don't know what you think
Yeah,
about that.
I do agree, and I think what you're saying there about getting beat by Canelo last, you have to remember it's Canelo. Do
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
everyone gets.
Everyone's going to get well, not yeah. Essentially, everybody's going to get beat by Canelo. So if you're basing Yildirim off the fact that he got beat by Canelo, he's not fighting Canelo. He's fighting Jack Cullen. Jack Cullen, in his own right's really good fighter, but he's not on. He's not a Canelo.
No.
So although Yildirim has lost to Canelo, he obviously lost to Eubank Jr. back in the Super Series a few years back, and he lost to Durrell,
Mm.
I believe too. But then there's his three losses on his record. They're three world class operators.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I think you're right. I think you could be right. I think again that's although he's not a massive underdog, he still is an underdog and a very live one at that.
Yeah, and I think again, like I say, I think I would try and use those odds to kind of boost my other not as 50-50 fights, and I could use
Mm-hmm.
that to kind of like build up my accumulator, which I think could be really valuable as well. I do think for Jack Cullen, if he wins this, that really does push him onto the world level. So there is that added pressure as well, that this is kind of like the gatekeeper now for that world level at the division. So if there is a lot of pressure on Jack Cullen on Saturday night, and we don't know how he will deal with that. Whereas Yildirim has been in bigger fights. This isn't the biggest fight of Yildirim's career. If Yildirim loses, everyone goes, "Oh, well, we thought he'd lose." It doesn't really matter. Like, he's at that point now where he's probably just picking up a paycheck. It depends what his mindset is really. And I think that's part of it. They saw the mindset that went into Canelo, and I think people are trying to translate that to the Jack Cullen fight.
I agree.
I think another really interesting fight on this card, and I don't know the odds on this, but is the Lee Wood Shu Kan fight, the co-main. What are your thoughts on that fight from a betting perspective?
Well, I interviewed Lee Wood recently, and he seemed very confident, but as all boxers do, but he did seem very, very confident. And I had a look earlier, and you can get him at odds of 5-2 to beat Kanju. People might think that it's a tall order for him to win that fight, but again, he's looked pretty good recently, Lee Wood. I know he lost in the Golden Contract to Jazzy Dickens. Since then, though, he came back with an impressive win against Reece Mould. That was a really good victory. He's not his last 5 wins. He's stopped all of them, so he's clearly carrying a bit of power now as well. So you never know. You really do not know. Kanji, as we were chatting about before, 2 years since he's last fought.
Yeah.
Even maybe a wee bit longer. I think it was the start of 2019.
Yeah. 2.5 years, January.
So you never know. 2.5 years, that's a long time. He might have... Ring rust will be a major factor there for him. And Lee Wood in that time probably had 3 or 4 fights, 2 or 3 fights. And Kanji, Lee Wood won't have to go looking for him because he'll come forward. He's rightly the favourite. I do agree with that. But I don't think you can write Lee Wood off. Now he's with Ben Davison, training with Ben Davison as well. He did look really good in the last fight against Reece Mould. I know Reece Mould isn't Kanju. But again, a lot of people fancied Reece Mould to beat Lee Wood, and Lee Wood proved him really wrong. So I do like his value at 5-2. I wouldn't be as confident as I am for Tommy McCarthy, but I still do think that 5-2 really, really good value. And
I think even looking at Lee Wood on points, I presume even better odds is something that
that would be, you'd probably get a very good price on that.
Especially with, you don't know, Kanju might start slow, especially having not been in the ring for so long, and Lee Wood could build up the rounds, and I could see a point where he's trying to knock him out in the last few rounds, and Lee Wood holds on for a points decision. I think that is something that we could see, maybe even like a split decision being in the UK. I know a lot of fighters don't even want to come to the UK anymore, so I wouldn't be surprised if Lee Wood picks up a pretty disputed split decision as well. So I think there's some real good value in that Lee Wood. And if you are feeling brave to parlay that with Tommy McCarthy and Yildirim, you never know. They could be getting underdogs. I think this is what is good about some Matchroom cards. You actually do get some live underdogs. Not always, but you do get some, maybe not 50-50 fights, but 60-40 where you could see a big upset. And I think we will see that throughout Fight Camp, where we do see some big underdogs. And we will be bringing you more of these videos throughout Fight Camp, so keep a lookout on the channel. So thank you, Paul. I think that's everything for this video.
I think we've covered all the value. We're going to make people some money, hopefully.
Yeah, so leave in the comments below if you do take on any of the bets we've given today. We'd love to hear how you get on, and we will reply to some of the comments as well. And obviously, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you, Paul, and see you guys later.
Thanks.